up, everyone? Welcome back to Your Story, Your Way, Season 29, Cafecito Edition. For our season premiere, we're headed to the South Side at Back of the Arts Coffee House, a spot where locals and newcomers can enjoy the addiction of caffeine. Tune in as we have a collection of interviews ranging from public performers, a student from San Miguel School, art collectives, and the owner of the coffee shop themselves. This and much more to brew on this upcoming episode. Hello, so we are here in Back of the Arts coffee shop, and can you introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Zafiro Luna.
Oh,
Thank you for having me.
Of course. So can you tell us, I know you're in Marimacha Press, can you tell us a little bit of how Marimacha came to be?
Yeah, so I am one of the founding members of Marimacha Monarca Press, and we are a queer and trans collective of artists and educators that center on providing free and accessible art programming to the southwest side of Chicago. Mm-hmm. And we sort of came to be together just because we have a deep bond, and we were each other's chosen family, and we sort of realized that we have so many overlaps, yet so many varying practices as well, that we tried to find a middle point, and we created this one zine called Dear Baby Queer, where we share baby photos of each other, and we wrote love letters to our baby queer selves. And this all came to be because we wanted to share baby photos, and so from then on out, we just sort of continued making work together, continued sharing space together, and it's now about to be 8 years later in November.
Amazing. So what's your role in Marimacha Monarca Press?
We all wear a lot of hats. We all constantly move around and do different things. I help write grants. I lead demos and activations and workshops. We also all create all of these. We create the workshops, we create the material, and a lot of these are collaborations, so I can't take any credit for anything particularly. It's, again, we all wear a lot of hats.
So environmentally, have you noticed any significant changes in Back of the Yards since Marimacha Press was created?
I have seen within the past couple of years more community gardens, more family gardens, just más cultivo from the community. I feel like Back of the Yards, especially Englewood, has a lot of vacant lots. You know, we can see it a little bit on the south side of Back of the Yards, but it's definitely more in Englewood, and I think what better way to utilize these spaces that are, and vacant and create a space where people can commune and cultivate and be closer to the land, right? And a lot of the land in Back of the Yards is toxic because of the history of it being a stockyard. So even knowing what to plant to start sort of detoxifying the earth is a really good way to start, with your own little cosechita.
Yeah, definitely. So you had mentioned collaboration, and as we were looking on the website for Marimacha, that it says that you guys collaborated with Neighbors for Environmental Justice.
Yes.
So in what way did you guys work together?
We have one of our collective members is actually a member of Neighbors for Environmental Justice, and so we've collaborated with them on their initiatives. They were 2 summers ago creating a collection of poetry that is from various community members around McKinley Park, so not just McKinley Park itself, that work with the land and how they have connections with the land. And we were invited to create the cover for that collection of texts, for that anthology, and it's trilingual, that book. So it was really beautiful to sort of not only incorporate some print media because we are a print-centric collective, but we also took photos and did microscopic photography to see, like, for example, we used images of Bubbly Creek and all of the organisms that grow there. And if you don't know the history of Bubbly Creek, it literally is a part of the Chicago River that bubbled because of how much saturation of, like, flesh from the stockyards that was there. And it was just, it's still gross. It doesn't bubble, but you can see, I mean, from the samples that were taken from the water, that there's a higher concentration of growth there. And so doing that, and microscopy also of, like, garden soil at McKinley Park. So just sort of seeing the micro and the macro of McKinley Park and the communities. So that was one of the collaborations that we've done. We've also activated McKinley Park with them, making seed paper and seed bombs. So sort of just, being out in space with them.
So you said you've done, like, a lot of workshops and different programs. What has been your favorite program that you've been a part of, or any new programs that you want to create in the future?
Yeah, I think one of the most laborious but also really enriching was when we did a 3-part series where we created a seed paper piñata at McKinley Park. So the first series, we made seed paper with the community. We posted up by the community garden and sort of just had people come in and create various color seed paper. For the second iteration, we started fabricating the piñata, and people were coming over and decorating it with the paper that we had made in the previous session. And for the third one, it was the breaking of the piñata, and so there was, like, a little poetry reading. People of all ages broke it, so it wasn't just, like, a kid thing, you know. And then all of the residue, all of the debris from the piñata itself was planted back into the soil, and it's now part of the community garden because it contained pollinator seeds and just, like, native plants that help with the monarch migration.
Can you explain what seed paper is? You've mentioned it a lot.
Yeah. So seed paper is basically, Marimacha Monarca Press focuses on sustainability and reusability, resquachismo. So a lot of our paper waste we collect and then we soak to create paper pulp, which can be used to reconstitute into paper. Our variation is that we put, native seeds for pollinator plants, and seeds specifically like the milkweed that helps with the monarch migration. As we know, the monarch butterfly travels from Michoacan all the way up to Canada and back again. And so creating this, like, corridor, this ecological corridor helps with that migration and helps sustain, the species. And yeah, so that's typically what we do with the seed paper.
We talked about Marimacha Press, but it'd be nice to know a little bit more about, like, you, Selva. Personally, are there any ways that you would like to get more involved in your community?
I actually don't work much with the land, so I think I do want to do that. I think I want to start creating a little garden with my mom, who also just naturally has that instinct in her. I think it's, coming from a migrant parent whose parents, as in my grandparents, worked with the land. That was their connection. They were, growers and foragers, cosechadores. And so I think it is a way of returning not only culturally, but, like, making a new connection here in Chicago with our land directly. So that would be something that I would like to do.
Yeah, awesome. Also, I heard that you teach a class in Yollocalli itself. Can you explain more about that too?
Yeah, this summer I'm working with the YOLO Lab at Barrett Park, and we are creating wearables. So we are working with various print medias, such as cyanotype, which is a photosensitive solution. We're working with screen printing, block printing. We have an airbrush machine. We're going to do tie-dye. And so we're going to sort of try all of these mediums. And then at the end of the session, the participants are going to create, their own custom T-shirt or wearable of any kind. So, yeah.
That is so cool.
Yeah, that is really cool. When you do these like workshops or these programs that you're involved in, how do you get your community to know about it?
I think primarily we've been relying on Instagram as our main source to disseminate information. We are all active on there, but it's also word of mouth. I think at this point, 8 years in, we have developed like a robust community around us, and so usually we're invited to events too, so we don't just like pop up ourselves, right? Usually it's another community event with various community members. And so it helps fortify, we help fortify each other, we help disseminate each other's information, and it becomes a whole communal thing.
Awesome. And I know you mentioned in the beginning your zine, Dear Baby Queer. How do you think, or can you explain what a zine is and like how they help like local artists?
For sure. So zines are like a self-made publication, usually pretty rascuache, pretty punk, pretty simple. It's, meant to be accessible, so it's meant to use sometimes even just one sheet of paper that you can photo scan and cut once and fold into shape, right? And they're supposed to be pocket size. You're supposed to be able to hand them out to people in communities, sort of like a pamphlet, but like self-made and cute. And so with zines, the zines that we make as a collective are, yes, sometimes they hold like very specific narratives like Dear Baby Queer, but we've also made zines that are more of like reflective and that are downloadable, and you can use them for yourself as like a reflection prompt. You can use them in a community workshop. And they all revolve around different themes of like queerness, migration, and the storytelling in general, as well as we have instructional ones, so ones that sort of are meant to guide you through the process of screen printing, through the process of paper making, again, to make things accessible so that they're not just a practice that exists, in this bubble, but so that you can yourself sort of emulate or recreate these workshops or these projects.
Awesome. So I also just started a collective with like my thesis people from college. Do you have any advice on like how to start that, or like how to get going to like create something bigger and like get involved with like, our own group, our own neighborhood, stuff like that?
Yeah, for me, networking was really hard. There was something psychologically in me that was telling me, no, don't sell yourself out. It's not selling out. I think there's a very distinct way of networking where you're community building, where you're helping sustain each other and creating, an exchange of knowledge and experiences. So I would say start with, developing connections with those around you that have interesting practices, that are doing things that you want to do as well, and vice versa, right? And help each other generate spaces, generate projects. It's about sharing resources, I think, primarily, and sharing knowledge.
Okay, thank you so much. Really appreciate your time.
Yeah, it was really nice meeting you. Thank you for taking time.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you, of course.